What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful night tonight. Beautiful night. Great temperature. No breeze, nothing. Just very still. Very still tonight. I'm a big fan of airplanes. First time I was on an airplane, I was 3 years old. And I loved every second of it. I love the view, I love the power, I love the takeoff when you are, going down the runway and then the plane starts to lift. Love that. And I'm a big fan of the 747. 747, I mean, if you want room, that's the one to get on. But sometimes when I'm stuck in traffic out here, I wish I was on an airplane or a helicopter, or Hong Kong Phooey. Hong Kong Phooey had the Hong Kong Phooey mobile, and he had a gong when he wanted to change the Hong Kong Phooey mobile into something else, like a helicopter. Boom, and then the thing would change into a helicopter. He would rise up, and that's what you need. You need a car that can change when you need it to be a car, like when you want to get up into the mountains or something, let it be a car. But when you want to get over the traffic, helicopter. Yeah, now, when you go far now, they give you like, a couple of sticks of gum. But in the old days, when you went far, they would give you a nice, hospital meal. You'd sit there eating it. One time I was on a plane, this is in the 80s, and everything was nice and calm, and it was beverage time. So she comes up to me and she says, what would you like to drink? And I said, 7-Up. They had 7-Up, which I'm a fan of 7-Up. So I got the 7-Up, and just as she's handing it to me, we hit an air pocket, and the plane dropped. Felt like free falling for, 2 or 3 seconds. And the whole 7-Up spilled all over me. And then she was apologizing. I go, it's not your fault, and even if it was, big deal. So they brought me a ton of towels. The funny thing was that I was returning home from overseas on that trip, and the last thing I wanted, it's a mama's boy trying to overcompensate. It's called Joe Pesci syndrome. So he's got that loud noise going to overcompensate for the fact that he's a mama's boy. He's going to go home now, tell his mother everything that happened in his day, all the details, all the secrets that people told him not to talk about. He's going to get a little kiss on the cheek, and then she'll tuck him in after she tells him a nice story about Clarence, the TV dog. That's how it goes. Anyway, so I didn't want the attention that day at all, because what I had done the day before while on my trip, I went to a place that was an orchard, and in that orchard there was a big walnut tree. And everybody knows when you clean walnuts off of a tree, the skin contains a dye and colors your hands yellow. Then the yellow becomes darker and darker until it looks like brown, really dark brown, and then it starts looking black. So I was messing around with these walnuts, and then I looked at my fingers, and it was all like dark yellow, brown, that color. And I got a little carried away. I said, I'm just gonna do it even more. So I cleaned a ton of them, and I took the juice and I put it into my hands, and I put layer after layer after layer until my hands became like I was wearing a pair of black gloves. So I thought, okay, I'll go home, not rinse it off. I knew it didn't come off. I already knew that. But I thought I could lighten it up a little bit. So I went there, actually had some bleach, did the bleach thing. It made absolutely no difference at all. It absorbs into the skin. So that evening I was out with a few people, and everybody was saying to me, hey, man, you didn't wash your hands? It literally looked like I was working on a car engine, right? A nice 1970s Buick car engine. And then I would explain to them. They go, "Oh, it's like, why'd you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, I wanted to do it. That's why I felt like it." The problem was the next day I was flying, and so my hands were, visible to everyone to see it. They was probably thinking, "Doesn't this guy wash his hands?" They looked like I was handling rusty metal in the dirt. And so when that happened, and she came to me, I was trying to whatever, but I had to use my hands. You have to use your hands. You can't put socks on them. So she was looking at my hands, and I was like, I'm not going to explain anything here. But that's what happened that day. The plane dropped, and then they came. All the attention was on me because I got wet from the 7-Up. And then we landed safely, and that was it. See the cat. The cat now, every day, this cat comes closer and closer to me. It began where the cat would stay about 30 feet from me and watch me, and if I moved a little bit, it would take off. And then the 30 feet became 25, then it became 22, then 21, then 19, then we went to 15, and now we're about 7 feet. So, and there's 3 of them. So when I smell, Christmas time, pine cones, and they put, I don't know what they put in there, cinnamon, places that sell them, you can smell that cinnamon. When I smell that, it brings me back to a day in my life that happened many, many, many years ago. So one cold winter, around Christmas time, freezing out, it was like in the teens. And I'm not going to get into the backstory as to why this happened, unnecessary, but I'm going to say that I spent the night in a florist shop, flower shop. So I had a friend of mine, and he was a really nice guy. He's a very nice guy. And we did a lot of things together, going out to eat, went to the same school. And so he was the baby in the family. He had a sister who was all grown up, had her own family, had her own business, which was that florist shop. And he worked in there, so he always had money. The rest of us were broke, but he had a few bucks in his pocket at all times. So anyway, she was, I don't know, she was like 15, 16 years older than us. And something happened one day, and I said to him, I want to sleep in your, or can I sleep? I asked him. I didn't say I'm going to do it. I don't care what you say, but I said to him, can I sleep in the shop? And he's like, why? And I go up, I'll explain to you another time. And he goes, no. He goes, why don't you sleep at my house? Got plenty of room there. I go, I don't want to do that. So he, said okay. So he brought me in, and I picked the room where the flowers are, where it's cold. And I had this little, I don't know, like a jacket or something, and I slept on the floor. Barely slept. Every so often I would wake up, I was freezing, and it was really cold that night. And I was in the refrigerated section of the whole place in there was cold because of the flowers. And it was that rich pine cone cinnamon smell. That smell like they mixed in the pine cone with fresh cinnamon powder. And when I smell that now, it brings me back to that night like it was yesterday. It's a good memory now, but that night was rough for me. So yeah, and he was a really good friend. If you were like saying, after school I gotta go and buy, whatever, toothpaste, whatever, he would go, because he had second to last period off. No, he had last period off. So he would disappear, and then he would come back at the end of the day to pick you up from school, give you a ride or whatever. And hold on here. and he would have a toothpaste for you, you know, out of courtesy. He was like, yeah, you needed this? He would give it to you. So I haven't seen him since graduation day in high school. My mother, she took out the camera and she said, you know, why don't you two guys stay by the station? It was a station wagon. We had a station wagon back then. And I'll take a picture of you. And she snapped a picture, and that was the last time I saw him. I have heard through the grapevine that he got married, and he got married to somebody who he was dating back in high school. So, and you know, one of these days I'm going to reach out and talk to him. It's been many, many years. High school was not yesterday. So I'll talk to him, and then the person he married had a brother that I was friends with. And interesting story about him. Me and him were good friends, you know, but one day somebody said something about him that wasn't true, and he challenged him to a fight. My friend challenged the liar to a fight, and so we went off school property after school, because you fight on school property, that's a different story. So we went all the way to the railroad tracks, the same place where I used to hang around when I was a kid, and we went under a bridge. And the two of them, you know, they got into the fighting stance, and my friend beat the crap out of him, because what he did is he tucked in and he went up to the chest of the kid and he started throwing uppercuts to the face, like really hard ones, and that kid wasn't backing off. He didn't hear about, you know, defense, I mean, sorry. He didn't hear about defense, you know, back up a little bit, cover up, and then, you know, go after him. But he just sat there taking the punches, and he took so many punches that there was blood pouring out of his nose. Both of his eyes were like swollen and shut. And this is in a matter of maybe, you know, 90 seconds. Like, he got hit with some hard bombs. So my friend won that fight. I don't think he got hit once. Next day, the mother of that kid calls up the school and complains. And the school did talk to my friend, but because it was after school hours and off of school property, they couldn't do a thing about it. Couldn't do a thing about it, because you can't, you know, you don't run people's lives, you know, once the bell rings and you're off the property. Imagine if, you know, you go home and you have an argument with somebody from school, and then what, the school steps in and says, oh, we heard you guys were arguing last night, we're going to give you detention for that, or we may suspend you. So who knows what they're doing these days. But I'm sure if I saw him, that would be something we would talk about. I know 100% he remembers that fight. There's no way I would say, hey, remember that fight? He would be like, I don't remember that. Definitely remembers that fight. I run into people on the internet that I knew, you know, many years ago, you know, decades ago, and I will say to them, you know, a situation, they won't remember it. So anyway, but that, he was a really good friend. Really good friend. Got some hiking insulated cups. This is, you go hiking and you have a few people with you, and you want to have a nice cold cup of water from a nice thermos. Well, you bring these along, if we can get them out. Look at these cups. Look at that. Isn't that nice? These are double-walled stainless steel. Gotta wash them. And take them with me when I go hiking. Well, I take as many as I need. If I'm going with 4 people, with me included, right? I take these along. Everybody can have a little drinky poo. Nice fresh iced water. I always bring freezing water when I go hiking. Bring cold water, and either filtered or, you know, spring water. Poland Springs. Like to go up a mountain, pitch a tent, maybe even have one of those indoor stoves, you know, and then be caught in a nice heavy blizzard. Nice heavy blizzard, you know, have plenty of food to survive, but be in a blizzard. And here you are in the middle of nowhere, up on a mountain, maybe, I don't know, 9,000 feet elevation, 10,000 feet, somewhere around there, in a deep forest, and maybe cooking a steak, nice prime steak, and you know, you can feel the tent shifting from the wind, and you're up there enjoying a nice steak. I'd like to visit Antarctica. Antarctica. I know some people, they went. I know a person. No, I know some people. I know 3 people. 3 people that went to Antarctica, and you know, they had a good time. So that's on the bucket list. I have that on the bucket list. I have Pakistan, Nepal, you know, Mount Everest. Now I'm not going to go up Mount Everest. I'm not interested in you know, doing that. But I am interested in visiting the base down below, and I want to get a nice handmade blanket from the people of Nepal. Go there for a week, set up a nice fire, cook some chicken, couple of onions on there, maybe a nice tomato. You know what I like? I like sun-dried tomatoes, but you got to find a place that's low in humidity, otherwise they get moldy. Well, I know they put a ton of salt on them. So what they do is they cut these nice tomatoes, these tomatoes that you grow in your backyard with nice soil. You cut them in half, and then you take coarse salt and put a lot of it, like on a tray of tomatoes, and then you leave the tomatoes out in the sun, and slowly the sun evaporates the water and leaves a flavorful tomato that's like, you know, it's almost like a raisin. That's what it's like. It's like a raisin. I don't mean the taste, I mean the whole texture of it. And then what you do is you fry them, and they're delicious. A lot of people don't realize, you know, they get tomatoes. Tomatoes are fruit, they're not vegetables, but a lot of people don't realize how tasty tomatoes are when you grow them in your backyard with nice soil. You know, sometimes, I don't do it every year, but every once in a while I'll plant tomatoes out here, and I'll get really rich soil, and I'll water them every day at the same time. And then when the time is right, I get these nice big red tomatoes, and I will cut them up, add a little bit of salt, and eat them. And I can't even explain how amazing they taste. I've been to many supermarkets. They say organic, they say fine tomatoes. I've been to Whole Foods, Bristol Farms, I've been to farmers markets. None of them taste like the kind of tomato you can grow and eat from your backyard. It's a whole different experience. So you take a bunch of those and you sun dry them, and it's amazing. I mean, it's a really good tasting food. You know, make some lentil soup. I haven't seen these in a long time, but they used to have pickled tomatoes. My mother would eat those a lot. Pickled tomatoes. Like we would have bean soup. Bean soup with carrots, northern beans in there and everything, and then they would cut a dish of these fermented tomatoes. Nice slices, and they go well together. So anyway, it's a very beautiful night tonight. I wish it was darker out here, like, you know, away from the city, but I'm in the city. But if I was in the desert right now, like up in you know, Palmdale or something, right now it would be pitch black out, and you would see thousands of stars from a little small portion of the galaxy. Here you see a handful. If you're lucky, you'll see the planets, you'll see Jupiter, you'll see Mars, Venus, but you don't really see much more than that. Too much light pollution. Anyway, we ate lasagna tonight. We had lasagna, very good lasagna, very filling. So that's it. That's it for now. Ciao.